Apple Macintosh, Oric 1, Sony HitBit, a Jupiter Ace. Hello friends, George here, welcome to my channel. The star of this episode is this wonderful microcomputer from the year 1982. I am a great fan of this computer because of its unique operating system and its wonderful case design. I really love this color scheme, white with black keys and the big logo at the top with these red stripes. Very unique, very stylish and very 80s, I would say. The Jupiter Ace has a Zilog Z80 processor which runs at 3.25 MHz, has 1 KB of RAM and a resolution of 24 × 32 characters, which is character mode. It has no high-res mode, and a palette of 2, which means monochrome. Despite its unique appearance, it has one very unique feature. This micro runs on 4th instead of basic like all the other machines, microcomputers of that time. So a very interesting and unique machine, and if you plan to buy one, good luck. Prices are starting at 600 euros and go up to 1,600 euros and more. So buying one is out of question. But what about the idea of building one? A few enthusiasts have done this already, but my personal skills in electronics are very limited. So the idea is to take a modern keyboard and make it into a kind of Jupiter Ace, which I personally am a great fan of. So I found this keyboard here, a Rapoo 8000M with mouse, and as you can see, it's a wireless keyboard. We need a battery to get it working, and it connects to the PC via Bluetooth. I've chosen this keyboard for my project because it's cheap and the design reminds of the microcomputers of the 80s. It's small, slim and compact. So if I want to turn this into a kind of Jupiter Ace, I have to turn its color, the case color, to white. So I bought this self-adhesive foil and these stickers for the logo, and the idea is to take the keyboard apart, try to stick the foil onto the case as good as I can. I've never done this before, and also try to replicate the logo. First, let us take the keyboard apart. There must be some screws at the bottom, and here they are. At the first look I can see 7 screws. Let's try to get them out. Now I use tweezers to get the screws out of the case. Now let's try to open the case. I will try it with my fingers. I don't recommend this if you like your fingernails. But before doing this, I have to take out the battery. While taking out the battery, I realized that there are 2 screws left, and I will take them out too. So this is the moment where I try to open the case with my hands. Looks like I have forgotten a screw under this label here. I suppose there is a screw under this label, and I am right. So now I'm sure I can open the case. Loosen it a little more, and it comes carefully. Any wires? No. I'm careful because I don't want the keys to fall out, but they are attached in a way that they can't fall out. So let's take a look at this keyboard membrane. Looks and feels like it's made of silicone. This is of course not a quality keyboard with mechanical switches. I paid about 20 euros for this keyboard and I think it's a good deal. And the main goal is here to do a small experiment, have a little fun and share the experience with you. So let's take a closer look to these keys here. I have no idea how to remove them, so I try by pushing them out and it works. I also hit a screw there, so try the next key and it popped out. So the same procedure with all the remaining keys. I will do a time lapse, of course. As you may have noticed, the Jupiter Ace has black keys, and that's the reason why I've chosen this model here. So if I manage to put on the foil on this case, which is uncertain because I've never done this before, the hope is that I come close to the look and feel of the original Jupiter Ace. I'm still fighting here with the remaining keys. The cursor keys and the spacebar is left. First mission accomplished, all keys are out now. In the next step, let us try out this foil, which I bought for 6 euros. Well, usually I would paint this case in a white color, and as I said, this is an experiment. I want to try out this method and have some fun with it. First we have to cut out a piece of foil which is big enough. I will cut the foil there. So now I have to fold the foil to get a line where I can cut along. Now the difficult part comes. We have to stick the foil onto the case. So this was easier than I thought. I tried to even out the foil so that there are no bubbles left. I'm really curious if this will work out. because, as I've said before, I've never done this before. But sometimes you have to try new things. The corners are always the difficult part. It reminds me a little of putting wallpaper on a wall, which I've done many times. Let's hope that this experience helps a little. So this looks good so far. I can't see any serious bubbles. Okay, the corners are not perfect, but for the first try I am very happy with it. The color of the foil looks great, and the foil also feels good. It has a nice warm feeling, almost organic. I honestly have no idea how to cut the holes in this foil, so let's give it a try. Just do some experiments. I try to cut along the edges, and my feeling is that this will not be the best method, but at that point I had no better idea and I kept going. So the first hole is cut, and my honest opinion, I'm not very happy with the result. I tried a few other holes and put the keys inside, and maybe you can see it, the edges are not smooth. Here you can see it a little. Maybe if I stick the buttons a little out, it looks a little bit better. Well, no, this looks not very good, and at this point I was ready to give up the project, but as you can see here, I kept going because I had an idea how to cut the holes, and how to do it to get smooth edges I will show you next. Here are the first few buttons which I cut out in the old method. Looks very rough, but then you see here the edges are very smooth. And here is how I've done it. You always cut from the corner to the midpoint, like this and like this, so that you get little triangles. Like this. This looks good. And now you take the screwdriver and work these little triangles carefully in, like so. And by folding them into the hole, you get nice smooth edges. And in this case I didn't cut far enough to the corner, but I think you get the idea. Let's try to fix it, correct this, and work this in. And I think for the first try, this looks very good. We will do a time lapse now. These are the last 3 keys of this row. We have another 2 rows left, but let's take a look at the progress so far. Here's the last key, and I think looks very good. Let's continue with the last 2 remaining rows. All keys are in their place, and I think this looks amazing. The top half of the keyboard is white now with its black keys, and I think this looks really good. Here's the back side, and I will leave the bottom side, the bottom half of the keyboard, in its original color, so that we have a 2-tone color theme of this keyboard, which is also very 80s. Many cars back then were painted in 2 colors. For example, I had an Opel Vauxhall in UK, which was painted from the factory in 2 colors. The bottom half was black and the upper half, the top half, was red. So let us check the keys next. I want to see if any of the keys will be stuck when I press them. Looks good so far. Okay, here we have a small problem. The enter key. I suppose the foil holds the key down, but maybe by pressing it often enough the problem will be solved. And this works as I hoped. So let us check the remaining keys. Looks good so far. Space bar works. Everything is fine. Very happy with it. So what remains is to put the screws back into the holes. So this is the last screw, and let's flip it over, and I have to say I am more than happy how this came out. Looks as I hoped. Let's put the battery back and the battery cover. Looks like a micro from the 80s, a little. Some words about the keys. The feeling is a little mushy, but okay, it's a cheap keyboard, but it's not as bad as you think. And this fits to the Jupiter Ace, because the Jupiter Ace was also very poorly built. Here a picture of the Jupiter Ace again. What's missing is the logo. I will go the cheap way and make some labels. I will print some labels and try to put it at the upper left corner here. I will think there is the best place. And let's see how this will come out. And here's the label. Looks very nice. Let's put it at the upper left corner. And here it is. This is my Jupiter Ace themed modern keyboard, which I will use with my PC emulator. And I'm very happy how this project came out. This is my modern interpretation of the Jupiter Ace from the year 1982. Before I close the video, I will show you the keyboard from all sides. As you can see, I had trouble with the corners, but I'm still very happy that I finished this project. So here are some beauty shots of the keyboard, and I want to thank you all for watching. Leave a like if you want, write a comment, subscribe, helps the channel, and I hope to see you next time. Bye bye.